You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Amazing to have you with me here today on this Motivation and Mindset Monday. I truly appreciate you tuning into the Cabral Concept each and every day, hopefully. And I know that you could be doing so many other things. I know that there's a lot of podcasts out there. So I just simply want to thank you right now for tuning in and thank you for your time and attention. Today's going to be one of those shows where hopefully I'm able to inspire you to look at life a little bit differently. And the reason I do these shows is as much for you as it is for me. I look to improve in my life each and every day and each and every week for sure. And these Motivation and Mindset Monday talks allow me to get back to the main thing, to understand that we might have some of the most amazing goals in life, but we can't lose track and lose sight of the bigger picture. And what I mean by that is this. A lot of times we set a goal, and it's finite, meaning that, okay, when it happens, great, we know that we can check that off, but then what? So an example would be this. Let's say it's still earlier in the year, you're looking to lose weight. You're looking to take off that 20 pounds, 30 pounds. You haven't been able to do it for years, okay? So you want to take the weight off. Okay, how important is that to you? I don't think that the 20 or 30 pounds that you need to lose is that important to you. I just don't think that it is. But what is important to you is what's behind that 20 to 30 pounds. If you lose that weight, then what? Do you see yourself differently? Do you think about yourself differently? Does that allow you then to do something else with your life? Meaning this, what is your why? What's the real why that you want to take off that weight? Is it health so that you could live longer? Because if so, that's great. If you reduce that BMI, and if you improve your waist-hip ratio, you improve all of the causal factors for early mortality. So I think that's a great reason. But then why? Why do you want to live longer? What are you going to do with this life of yours? You most likely have 30, 40, 50 more years. Most likely. I mean, easily for most people listening to this podcast, right? So when I look at it like that, and hopefully as you look at it like that, you're taking steps with your body now to transform the rest of your life, right? The Cabral concept is change your body, change your life. That has to do with health as well. If you're looking to get healthy, great. But why do you care to get healthy? I know my why was huge. I was not great in relationships because I was always angry and I was irritable and I couldn't sleep and I was always tired. And I knew what I wanted to be. I knew what I wanted to have. But that was not a seemingly possibility. It just wasn't a part of my life. And I didn't know that how it would be. But it's what I wanted, which is why I wanted to get well. So if you want to get well, great. Well, what are you going to do then with that wellness, right? What are you going to do with that robust health and vitality? If you woke up every day with plenty of energy, you woke up before your alarm clock, what would you do with all that energy? You have to ask yourself that. Because I know there's a lot of goals inside of you that you simply don't believe you can achieve because you don't have right now the X, the Y, or the Z. But you will. And I'm going to go through that on today's podcast. Another one is with relationships. Okay, so you're out there right now, you're trying to find the perfect person, or you're trying to mend or improve your current relationships with parents, with friends, with your spouse, partner, with your children. Think about the why, though. If that relationship were to improve, what else would improve in your life, right? So go back to all of these whys. But here's what I want you to think about, and it's why so many people never achieve these goals. And there's a couple things we'll talk about today, but the first one is this. When you create something of the highest importance in your life, meaning you put it up on a pedestal and you look at it as something that has to be achieved, you put so much pressure on yourself. And when you put that type of pressure that it must be achieved in order for you to have the happy life, the happy relationship, the body, the health, the finances, the spirituality, if you make it so crucial, you're going to put a lot of pressure on yourself, and you're also telling yourself what? That there's resistance to achieving that goal. Why? Because it's so important to you. And what else? If you're saying, I don't have it, I need to have it, you're creating resistance as well as a belief that it's not already in your life. And if we look at it that way as I don't have it, I need it, I want it, I must have it, you're telling yourself over and over, it's this thing that you don't have. That somehow it's a mystery in order to be able to achieve. Whenever we continue to reinforce the belief that we do not have or that we lack, we continue to get more of what we're telling ourselves, which means we increase our lack in life. If we're always telling ourselves, it's so hard for me to lose weight, so easy for my friends, you're reinforcing the belief to your subconscious, which essentially is your nervous system, and that includes the gut as well, right? The gut-brain axis with that peripheral and central nervous system. And you're telling yourself, I don't have. It's easy for others, but not for me. Everyone in my family has had this dis-ease. Everyone in my family's put on weight. No one in my family's had great relationships. We all struggle with career and finances. We're all destined to do X, Y, and Z. If that is the belief you've set up for yourself, for sure, the world is going to greet you and meet you with that. And the reason it is that is what you look for. And we've spoken about this before. This is true quantum physics and quantum mechanics. Everything you're looking for is out there right now. Trillions, right? More than that. I don't know the actual number for it. Bytes of information are all around you. You only can take in so much so that your head, figuratively, doesn't literally explode, right? And so your body or your brain, called the reticular activating system, the RAS or RAS, is taking in all sorts of information, and it's filtering those that will reinforce your beliefs or help you to achieve whatever goal it is. When you keep telling yourself you lack something, you're telling your brain, I lack it, I don't have it. And the world, what you see in front of you, continues to show you that. This is one part of it, which means what? It means this. I need you to set the big goals. I need you to set the goal of getting healthy, or losing the weight, or developing the career you've always wanted. And it does not have to be based on money. It does not have to be 50 hours a week. We have so many people getting into health coaching that want to do it for 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, part-time, right? Part-time. They would just want to be able to share the information with others, help others, make a nice income on the side. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's fantastic. Maybe you would rather get into some type of hobby, something that it's a passion of yours. Now you need to just find the time. Or relationships. You say, you know what? I have everything in my life, but I don't have that right person. Or I had the right person. Our relationship is not where it used to be. How can I fix that? All of these are great goals, and they all should be achieved. And yes, you should place importance around them. But the problem is this. We can't say we lack it. We can't say we must have it. We can't put so much pressure on ourselves that we're essentially demotivating and pushing ourselves away from it, telling ourselves how hard the process is going to be. Nobody wants to do a lot of hard work. But what if we flip that? What if we said, other people have it. I'm not too much different than others. I'm willing to learn and take action on the ways in order to achieve those things. So in essence, it's already mine. I don't have the timeline in front of me, but I'm going to work towards it. I'm going to study the things that are going to help me achieve it. And I'm going to continue to experiment until I figure out the right way for me. So I will achieve it. I have already achieved it. It's already done. Now I'm simply trying to speed up that timeline in order for me to see it in my own life. I need you to go about it in a little bit different way. When you think about it with that mindset where it's already done, it's already been done. Everything in your life right now that you've achieved, think about all the great things, because you have achieved a lot of amazing things in your life. Now, our brain has been programmed to focus on the negative. Why would a human brain be focused, and animal brain, be focused on the negative? The reason is it keeps you alive, right? The positive stuff we don't have to worry about. was never meant to basically wipe us out. But the negative, we look at that as a stressor. And we focus on it because we are literally survival type beings, right? So that goes back to that limbic brain that we have. And it kept us alive for a long period of time, which was great, meaning like don't touch fire, stay away from drinking pools of water with other hungry animals, like all of those things. And those were great, right? We don't do that. We focus on that. But now we live in a more, let's say, safe society for the most part. And we create a lot of those demons and fears ourselves. But I think it goes deeper than this. And the problem is that we don't focus enough on all the wins that we've had. Everything that we've done to get to this point. And a lot of them are so great. So I want you to look back to a time, maybe you're 16 years old, 17 years old, or whatever it might be. And you had certain goals. Maybe it was to go to college. Maybe it was to find the right person, whatever it might be. At some point in your life, you didn't have those things either, right? You never had those, but you wished for them on a subconscious level. You wanted them to be a part of your life, but maybe, just maybe, you would put the same type of pressure on yourself. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. Either way, you made those things happen. You didn't always know the timeline back then either, but they did happen for you. So what I want you to think about is this. Everything in your life that you are interested in achieving, you can absolutely achieve. And in my mind, I would say is this. If it is of enough importance to you, and you are willing to work towards it, and you are willing to make some mistakes, you're willing to go through those trials and tribulations and challenges, then it's already a done deal. Because you're willing to do it. So what now disconnects you from that end result? What really disconnects a lot of people is overcoming that first hump. It's how do I get going? Because I feel like there's so much pressure, and you know what? I've been putting off this goal for a long time, and now I want to achieve it, but I've already waited a year or 2 years or 10 years, right? Or 20 years. And I want to achieve it now right away. Well, the problem is that you're putting your specific timeline on it. This is a little different than an achievable goal that you can set up to do in 90 days. For example, in 90 days, you could set up a goal to get to the gym 60 of those days, okay? So that's great, and you can absolutely achieve that in 90 days, but what if it's a much larger goal, right? So that's what we have to look at is sometimes we can't put the exact timeline on it, but we know that we want it. So now what do we have to do? We need to begin to tell ourselves, it's already a done deal. Now I need to work the process. But then how do we get that initial motivation? That's the problem, right? It's like, I've already waited too long. You know, why did I keep procrastinating? Now it's even worse. Here's the thing. It's not going to get better on its own. I tell people this all the time. If you have H. pylori, if you have parasites, if you have candida overgrowth, if you have any of these IBS-based issues, we're just talking about the gut for right now, it's not going to get better on its own. It's just not. You don't get rid of those things on their own. So what we need to do is, yes, you had it for years. You just figured it out now. That's okay. Better now than never. You get rid of it now. You take care of it now. And then you get to enjoy the rest of your life with robust digestion. So we talk about that. I mean, I come from it, of course, from a health perspective, right? Health, fitness, psychology, the mindset, anything to do with mind and body is what I love and what I talk about. Your goals could be completely different. But what you need to do is understand is, yes, it would have been great to start yesterday or 10 years ago, but all we have is right now. It's today. And the nice thing is you have decades upon decades left in your life. And the thing is, as you get even healthier, you begin to understand and appreciate that more because you don't have to age like society tells you that you do. So you're going to have way more time than you actually believe that you do. If you have a passion project, you want to work on it, there's no doubt in my mind you'll be able to do that easily through your 70s and 80s. I just know that people are going to be living longer. I'm going to be doing much more, sharing much more of my research on this. There are things that you can already do today. The de-stress protocol and the rain barrel effect is a huge part of that. But I'm going to be giving you a lot of those things that they're doing a lot of research on right now. And I'm going to be talking about that. Joint regeneration, brain neuron synapses, all of these different things that are incredible. So keep yourself healthy now. But as we're getting back to you achieving those goals, which you're a little disappointed that you didn't start earlier, but you know that you have today, you know that you can move forward on them, and you're just looking to get that initial motivation, I want you to look at it this way, is that I've never found motivation to be a great way to go after a goal. Never. I've waited many times in order to become motivated to get started. But what I found is that the motivation never really came. Or it came, but it was fleeting. So instead of what I've figured out, at least for myself, and it seems to work with many of the people in my practice as well, is that we begin to simply put action into place. So what I've seen is this. As you begin to take action, you start to see forward momentum. At the end of the day, you look back and you say, wasn't a lot, but I put 30 minutes towards my goal today. That was 30 minutes previous to that was 0, right? So I put 30 minutes towards my goal. Great. And during that 30 minutes, I got in some great reading, some great research, some great study. And I already learned a couple things that will take me closer to my goals. And because of that, I can see how I'm going to be able to do this. What are you doing? Small steps, reinforcing weak beliefs. The beliefs are weak right now towards your goals. And most likely they're weak, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I have the same things myself. If I haven't already achieved it, if I don't already hold it right now in my hand, most likely my beliefs around that need some strengthening. Or maybe it's just timeline. That could be it too. But why not continue to strengthen those beliefs? So what I found is this. Build it into your schedule. And I've spoken about this before. I believe if you want something bad enough, it needs to be part of your daily routine. I'll talk about this more in a future Motivation Monday podcast. But you need to make it part of your daily routine. And that's because more so than the doing, the mind is wrapped around it. And I love it if it's done earlier in the morning. So if first thing we put it on our brain in the morning, then we're automatically thinking about that's what we need to focus on for the day. And I've also found this, that as you begin taking action, the byproduct of action is more action. Because what you see is you start to get that ball moving forward, right? The proverbial ball. But as you start to get that ball rolling, it becomes easier, but also it becomes exciting because you're making progress. If you get excited about something, that's when everything changes. I've always found that. Now I no longer work on projects. I no longer do things I'm not excited about. Now, we all have to do our day-to-day work. Don't get me wrong. I understand that. But in terms of big goals, I don't go after big goals unless they excite me because I know the excitement leads to motivation. So let me just repeat that. First, I take the action whether I want to or not. That's the hardest part. And I'm not saying that it's easy because you're basically telling yourself, I don't really want to do this. There's 1,000 other things I could be doing, but I'm going to do it anyways. Why? Because I want this goal, but I don't really want to work towards the goal. Okay, fine. But you just pen it into your schedule, can't erase it, and you're going to do it. You're going to do it for at least 3 weeks, okay? And then you're going to start to see some forward momentum. Why? Because you're doing it daily. Don't make it a big time commitment. 30 minutes, 60 minutes maximum. That's it. Do it every day. Every day. I'm going to be teaching a specific metabolic system this spring and probably late spring, early summer. And I'm going to teach people how to finally achieve those goals in terms of boosting their metabolism, right? Keeping the weight off, staying lean, and basically staying energetic because metabolism has way more to do than losing weight. It has to do a lot with energy. So aside from that, what I'm saying is this. You do the things you don't necessarily want to do in the beginning, which is kind of just getting started. It's not hard work. It might just be some research, some reading, signing up for whatever the course is, right? Any one of those things that's going to give you the knowledge and the blueprint so that you start to take then more action. First is the reading and the research, then it's the action. And as you start to move forward, you start to get some small wins, some small results, but it's enough to excite you. And as you start to get excited, then the motivation comes. Now the motivation, the trick with this is to not just dive head over heels. You want to, and I agree with it, and you should begin to then increase your time commitment. However, you don't want to burn yourself out. So I see a lot of people say, I'm going to start going to the gym twice a day, every day. Well, okay, I get it. I like the excitement. I know where you're going with this. Fantastic. But could you maintain that for the next 3 years? Because that's really what I want. Because we can set up some really big goals for ourselves, right? We can set up some tremendous goals for our life. But they might take 12 months, 18 months to really manifest. So what you think about that you could do in the short term is fantastic. But don't overestimate what you can do in the short term as you underestimate what's possible in the long term. So sure, push yourself forward, get excited, maybe spend a couple more hours one day, but not every day. So move forward at what you can maintain for a year, 2 years to come. And I'm a huge advocate of that. Stay focused on it, enjoy the motivation, enjoy the excitement, don't burn yourself out. And I'll tell you this, as you start to get excited, as you start to do the action, the byproduct of that is motivation. Do not wait for motivation in order to get moving. If the goal is important enough to you, the goal then should simply be to take action steps towards achieving it. Not necessarily the end result right away, because that's not really fathomable. You need to understand how to get to that goal. Once you understand it, you know that there's a pattern. For example, we can show anybody in our practice, hey, here's what you do when you have low thyroid. Here's what you do when you have candida or parasites or SIBO or H. pylori, any digestive-based issue. Here's what you do when you have psoriasis or eczema or skin rashes. Here's what you do when you have headaches and migraines. Here's what you do when you have low adrenal output. So you say, like, here's the things. I'm not getting you the goal tomorrow, nor do I promise that. I'm an ethical practitioner. I tell you that these are the steps. And along the way, you're going to have good days and you're going to have some bad days. What do I care about? Getting you to the end result of robust health, of feeling energy and vitality, and essentially experiencing a new normal that you haven't probably felt in decades. So that's my goal with people. And you have to look at it the same way with your own goal as well. The only reason you haven't achieved it is, one, you're not going after it. Or number two, you lack that knowledge, right? But now you just need to work towards the knowledge. So if you lack the knowledge, you're going to work towards it. If you already have the knowledge, good. Read it, reinforce it in your brain, and then begin to take those steps. You're already ahead of the game if you already have the knowledge. Now you need to understand is that you're never going to be motivated in the beginning, because how can you be motivated? You don't even have what you want, right? So if you don't have what you want, it's kind of demotivating. It's a lot of pressure. But there's also what I spoke about in the beginning. There's this non-resonance with what you have and what you don't have. And that's why we need to focus on what you can achieve right now, which is the first win. You can have that pretty quickly. You can have that through your research. You can have that through that first step, whatever it may be. And as you're moving along the process, you see yourself as a goal achiever, not a goal setter. Goal setting is great. I love goal setting as well. But I like goal achieving. I like to understand that I can achieve anything that I want with my life as long as I break it down into pieces, I begin to put in the work, and then I have to understand that if it's important enough to me, I'm not going to give up after the first 6 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it might be. The more important the goal, the larger the goal, typically, the more we need to be and do in order to get. And I did a previous Mindset and Motivation Monday podcast on this called the Be, Do, Get formula, that 3-word formula. We must be that person. We need to embody the person that would have the amazing career, relationship, health, body, spirituality. And as we begin to embody that, we begin to say, in terms of mindset, right, we'll do the things that allow us to get that goal. And I broke down that whole formula if you want to go back and listen to that. But the most important thing that you can really do today is get very crystal clear on what it is you want to achieve, but more importantly, why you want to achieve it. Telling me you want to lose weight is fine. I'm happy for you. I don't want to help you lose too much weight that you're unhealthy. But if you're overweight right now, I know that that will lead to most likely a longer life, less inflammation, less hormone imbalance, better detoxification systems, less chance for cancer, less chance for cardiovascular issues or blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. So I'm happy to help you with it, but I need to know your why. Why do you want to do this? So you can live longer, so you can see your grandkids, so that you can be around longer with your spouse, so you can be a better role model to those around you. Doesn't matter the reason to me necessarily, meaning like your reason is what's important. So don't ever justify your reason to anyone. Your reason is extremely important, and it's your life. You're your own individual. So once you figure out your why, it's also going to be easier to then to put into the work, right? To put this into action, even on the days that you don't want to. Because you go back and you focus on, yes, I don't really want to do it today. I'm tired. I'm run down. I've got a million other things to do. And I'm not even getting the results that I want. Sure, I get it. I've been there. I understand it. I experienced that for many, many years. But I have to tell you is you're going to regret it more by not having done it than by putting in that work. You'll never regret the work. You'll never regret the action, because the action also teaches you so much about you, teaches you about your perseverance. And when you achieve one thing, you realize that if you can achieve that, there's no way that anyone is stopping you from achieving any other goal in your life. So my hope for you is that you don't wait for motivation to strike, that you don't wait to be inspired, that you begin to move forward in your life by taking action. Let that action inspire you for even greater things to come. Thanks so much for tuning into the Cabral Concept. Always a pleasure having you with me. And if this show is helpful, please do feel free to pass it along to anyone else you believe it could serve. Before you go, I wanted to share a personal story with you. The real reason I began to get well finally is because I figured out what was wrong with me. And that might seem pretty obvious, but I went from doctor to doctor for over 2 years before discovering at-home functional medicine lab testing. These are the labs that enabled me to finally figure out what was wrong with my hormones, blood sugar, electrolytes, and gut health. And once I knew what was wrong, I could then follow a proven plan in order to rebalance my body from the inside out. This is why I believe so strongly in functional medicine lab testing, and why I've made it my mission to share these labs with the world. Now at equa.life, you can order an at-home lab test or a lab bundle for you and your family and be able to complete it within the week. Plus, the EquaLife difference is that you're not left to try to read and figure out these labs on your own. We explain what your lab numbers mean, what they mean in the much bigger picture, and then how to go about rebalancing your body in order to heal. To see our full selection of lab tests, or to set up a free lab selection call to find out what labs may be best for you, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. And do remember, we ship these all over the world. To find out more and to set up your free lab selection call, simply head on over to equa.life/labs. That's EQUI.LIFE/labs.